Looking at her, you'd think she's innocent. The kind of woman you'd swear could never hurt a fly. Calm, gentle, soft-spoken. That's what I thought too. But the truth is, if my daughter didn't need her documents that day, I would have never known who I was really living with. And maybe she would have taken that secret to her grave. Nado woke up like it always did. Loud, restless, alive. You know that kind of morning? Where even before you open your eyes, you already know the city is awake. The sound of Danfo buses, conductors shouting like their life depends on it, traders arranging goods, somebody arguing somewhere for no reason. That's Nado. It doesn't ease you into the day. It throws you inside it. But inside our compound, it was different, quiet. Almost like the noise outside had respect for that space. Not too big, not too small. Just one of those houses that tells you people here are okay. That morning, I was sitting in the living room, newspaper in my hand. Now, let me even say this. These days, people don't really read newspapers like before. Everything is phone, but me, I still like that feeling. The sound when you turn the page, the way you sit and actually focus. It slows things down, and that morning, everything felt slow, peaceful. The kind of peace that if someone had told me, your life is about to scatter now, I would have laughed. From the kitchen, Ades came out, carrying breakfast, tea, bread, eggs, simple things. But the way she carried it, you would think it was something bigger, calm, steady, like someone who had done that same routine for years. And she had 15 years of marriage. You learn how to move around each other without even thinking. But something about that morning, even though I didn't notice it then, something was off. She paused, just for a moment, watching me. And if I'm being honest now, that look, it wasn't just a normal look. It was the kind of look someone gives when they're carrying something heavy inside. But that time, I didn't think anything of it. Because when life is going well, you don't go looking for problems. Then suddenly, the door burst open. "Mommy, Daddy!" Toti rushed in, breathing like she had run from the gate, papers clutched in her hand. "I need my birth certificate. They said I can't complete my registration without it." I lowered my newspaper slowly, looked at her. "Is that all?" I even smiled small, because in my mind, that was not a problem. "We'll find it. Simple. Just go to the room. Check the box." So I stood up, folded the newspaper halfway, not even properly, because in my mind, I was coming back to finish it. "Come," I told Toti. "Let's go and find it." She followed me immediately. You know how children are when something concerns school. Everything becomes urgent. We entered the room. Now, the thing about documents in a house like ours is, they are never just in one place. You will think they are in one file. Then you open it, it's something else entirely. Old receipts, passport photographs from years ago, even documents that nobody remembers keeping. "Daddy, is it here?" "We'll check," I said. I went straight to the wardrobe, reached to the top where the boxes were. And that was when I saw it. The box, not the one we use often, this one, looked like it had been there for a long time. You know, those boxes that don't just keep things, they keep history. I brought it out. There was even a little dust on top. Toti tried to wipe it with her hand. "Careful," I said. "Some of these things are important." Funny thing is, I didn't even know how important. I sat on the edge of the bed, placed the box in front of me, and opened it slowly. Inside were files. brown envelopes, neatly arranged. That was when I knew this was Sada's doing. She was always organized like that. Even things you forget about, she remembers. I started going through them, one by one. Birth records, hospital papers, documents from years ago. Then I saw it. Toti's name, written clearly on one of the envelopes, no? This should be it. I picked it up, opened it, and just as I did, something slipped out. It didn't fall like paper. It dropped heavier. I paused, looked at it. It wasn't a document, not anything official. It was a newspaper clipping. For a second, I didn't understand why it was there. Inside my daughter's documents. "Daddy, what is that?" Toti asked. "I don't know," I said slowly. And I picked it up. The paper was old, slightly faded, like it had been kept on purpose. Then I looked closer and I read the headline. One NYSC copper killed in Gesa, Riwa. Something inside me just shifted. I don't know how to explain it, but sometimes before your mind understands something and your body already reacts. My chest tightened. My hand held the paper a little longer than normal. Then my eyes moved down to the picture. And that was when everything stopped. Because I knew that face. The moment I saw that face, something inside me refused to accept it. You know that feeling? When something is right in front of you, but your mind is still saying, "No, it can't be." I looked again. Maybe I was mistaken. Maybe it just looked like him. But deep down, I already knew that face was not a stranger. It was someone from my past. And somehow, that past had found its way into my house, into my daughter's documents. I didn't say anything immediately, because sometimes, when something is too big, words don't come. They just stay inside. I folded the paper slowly. I sat in the living room, thinking deeply. What could she be doing with that newspaper? Was she helping me investigate it? Deep down, I knew that wasn't the answer, but I hoped with everything in me that it was. So I waited. It was 7 p.m. Seda would be back soon. And then there she was, looking tired, exhausted from the day's work. She looked up and saw me sitting there. She was visibly surprised, and she asked why I was home so early. I didn't say a word, but I think she already guessed from the newspaper on the center table. As she sat down, her hands and even her voice were trembling. I asked. I don't think my voice had ever been that calm. I found this in Toti's files. Explain. And that was it. That one word opened everything. She didn't argue. She didn't deny it. She just went quiet. And then she said, "It started that night in Rewa. You see?" She had been working in a large pharmaceutical company at the time. Not the kind of job you relax in. The kind that follows you home. The kind that keeps you awake at night. She had been trying to meet a very tight deadline. So tight that she had already spent the night at the office. And then the call came in from her boss. Now, it wasn't just any call. You know those calls where the moment you see the name, your body already reacts? That was the kind of call it was. The shipment had arrived late. and it needed to be handled immediately. Not tomorrow. Not later, immediately. So she tried to explain that she was tired, that she hadn't slept. But pressure doesn't listen. So she left, got into a car, and drove out into the night. Rain was falling heavily. The road wasn't clear. Her body was tired, and her mind wasn't even on the road. Then her eyes closed, just for a second. And then a sound. She said it wasn't loud, but it was final. She stepped out of the car, and she saw him, lying on the road, not moving. And in that moment, everything changed. She had hit someone. Now, this is where people will say, she should have helped. And yes, they are right. But fear does something to you. It makes you think about yourself first. Her job, her future, everything she could lose. And instead of staying, she ran. She got back into the car, hands shaking, heart racing, and she drove. She didn't look back. Well, after she drove off that night, Seda didn't stop until she got home. And the moment she did, she didn't sit. She didn't think. She didn't even lock the car properly. She rushed inside, straight into the house, hands shaking, breathing uneven. You know that kind of panic, where your body is moving faster than your mind? That was her. She didn't even remove her shoes. Didn't turn on the lights properly. She just reached for her phone and called him. Her brother. Now, there are some calls. You don't rehearse. No plan. No structure. Just fear. Spilling out as words. That was this call. She was talking too fast. Skipping details. Going back and forth. I didn't see him properly. It was raining. He just appeared. I think he's dead. Silence. On the other end. Not because he didn't hear her, but because he was processing it. And then he asked one question. Did anyone see you? Now that question tells you everything about where his mind was. Not, is he alive? Not, did you help him? But, did anyone see you? She said no. Or, at least, she didn't think so. And then he said it. Leave. Just like that. No hesitation. No long advice. Just leave. And sometimes, when you're that scared, you don't question instructions like that. You follow them. Once. You know, there's something people don't talk about enough. It's not the mistake. It's what happens after you've lived with it for so long that it starts to feel normal. Because by the time Seda finished telling me everything, this wasn't just a story anymore. It was our life. 15 years. That's how long we had been married. 15 years of waking up beside her. 15 years of laughing, arguing, building something together. And all that time, this was underneath it. Not somewhere far away. Not in the past. Right there, in my house, in my family. I looked at her, and for a moment, I tried to separate things. The woman I knew from the woman she had just described. But the truth is, they were the same person. And that's the part that breaks you. Not that it happened, but that the person you love is the one who did it. Why didn't you tell me? That question. It sounds simple, but it carries everything inside it. fear, anger, betrayal. She tried to speak, but nothing came out at first, just tears. And then, finally, she said it. I was going to leave. I frowned, because that didn't make sense. Leave what? Leave who? And then she continued. She told me about the day she went to meet my family, how she saw his picture, how she recognized him instantly, how she knew in that moment that the man she left on that road was my brother, Disa, my brother. And suddenly, everything made sense. The way she had gone quiet that day, the way she changed afterwards, the way there were parts of her I could never fully reach. It was all there. I just didn't see it. So, why didn't you leave? That was the question now, because if she knew, if she really knew, then why stay? And that's when she said it. The one thing that changed everything again. I found out I was pregnant. Silence, not the kind of silence you can feel. The kind that just sits there. Heavy, taut. That was the reason. Not love, not forgiveness, not courage, responsibility, or maybe fear again. Because once there's a child involved, decisions stop being simple. I laughed. Not because it was funny, but because sometimes that's the only thing your body can do. When everything else is breaking. My daughter, our daughter, was the reason she stayed, or the same child whose document brought all of this back. You see how life works. The thing you used to hide the truth sometimes becomes the thing that exposes it. I stood up slowly, walked a few steps, then stopped, because I didn't even know where I was going anymore. I turned back and looked at her, this woman, my wife, the mother of my child, and the person who left my brother to die. And in that moment, I realized something. There was no version of this where everything survives. Not the marriage, not the past, not even the person I thought I was. Because some truths, they don't just change your life, they end it.
This is African Tales by Momiza. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to subscribe and leave a comment below. Turn on notifications so you never miss our latest stories. And watch out for part 2. See you in the next one.